What's good, y'all? Runnit back again, talking about FL Patcher effects. I dropped 8 of these for the month of October, and I'm going to go through all of them, and the last one is going to be a freebie, so stick around to the end. The first one is going to be a vocal effect. It's called HEXSHIFT, so let's get into it. All right, so HEXSHIFT is a vocal transformer that I designed in Patcher. This is the UI, and this is the back end. And this is what it does to vocals. So this is a monologue from Halloween, the movie.
I met him 15 years ago. I was told there was nothing left. No reason, no conscience, no understanding.
You get the idea, right? So it sends the audio through a bunch of pitch shifters, and they delay, or excuse me, they repitch and mangle up the vocal so that it can sound something like this.
I met him 15 years ago.
It's all bubbly and warped.
Blank, pale, emotionless.
So if you can hear it, it's kind of like, it almost sounds like spectrally, because it's using like jitter and randomness in here. So it's causing a whole bunch of like phasing to happen, and which is like canceling out frequencies and like creating other harmonics to be like brighter or like more prominent, which creates that kind of digital noise sound. And it sounds really cool. So you can do that with this HEXSHIFT patch. You can also multiply the effect with this knob here, and then with the densities, you can get more of like almost like a ring modded vocal. So like, let's turn these these automations off. And
I met him 15 years ago. I was told there was nothing left. No reason, no conscience, no understanding, and even the most rudimentary steps of life.
And then the balance is actually the wet, almost like a dry wet cascading through each one of these. So to better explain how the effect is happening, you have the first and second pitch shifters going the opposite direction of each other. So if this one's pitching up 2.34, this one's going to pitch down 2.34. So it's not actually changing the pitch of the vocal, but it is taking advantage of the artifacts and the inconsistencies of what the pitch shifting is doing. So that's HEXSHIFT. You can do a bunch of other stuff with it, like feedback and dial back the dry back into it if you want to pepper the effect in. So yeah, the second one, we're going to open up a new project here. The second one is called AUTOCLIP, and this one upgrades FL's soft clip plugin, Fruity Soft Clipper. And what it does is you can dial in the threshold just like normal soft clipping, but it also does auto gain with this threshold knob, and then it does pre and post emphasis, which means you push a frequency boosting and ducking at the same time, like before and after of the clipper. Before and after. So yeah, that's AUTOCLIP, and that one's on my Patreon as well. That was the second one I dropped for October, and now we're going to move on to the third one. This one is really cool. It's an instrument. It's called Grain Envelope. So let's switch projects. All right, so Grain Envelope is a newer plugin because before 2025, you could not put granulizer inside of FL's Patcher. I don't know why, but recent addition to Patcher. So what you have is you now have the ability to map all of these knobs and use like the VFX stuff, envelopes and everything with granulizer in a much easier streamlined way. So So what I did was I took the time to route everything inside here. As you can see, you can now just drop a sample in. Let me get you a regular plain preset really quick. So this is just the init preset. It's just a plain square wave in there. And what you can do is now you have access to the attack, hold, spacing, and playback speed, which is the wave spacing essentially. And I've added envelopes to each of these, and then a repeat or ARP, whichever way you want to say it, to it as well. And now you can do a lot of crazy effects. You can also randomize everything. So if I want to hit like, you get the idea. Doing crazy things already just by hitting two buttons. And then you've got like the repeat button, so you can like break the note up into quarter notes. This is like the speed here. And that's just all off a square wave. So you can imagine if you put like vocals into this or whatever it is, you can get some really cool outputs. For example, just basic square wave in this one. And then the output sounds like this when you have some just quick automation and stuff. So, more like, not rhythmy, but just bass kind of sounds. Let's see. That's a vocal, so you can put, or that's a downer. This next one, you would just throw like this sound in. And if you route it so that the envelope kind of goes down in pitch, and the spacing, you can see also the speed and the spacing like increases as you hold the note. It sounds like this after. So it's just created a downer out of a random hit. So that's pretty cool. The next one, you can also, if you map the start position and you use the repeat, you can now like retrace the vocal. From the top, let's go now. Some Fat Man scoop. But if you warp it like this and you just automate this start little knob here at this is the start position up here. From the top, let's go now. Oh, let me load up the correct one here. From the top, let's go now. You can see it's just riding across there with the repeat on, which means every little blip you're hearing there is a new MIDI note being triggered at a different start position of the sample. And then you can edit it, with the pitch or whatever you want to do. And it's like real wet sounding, Yeah, so that is grain envelope. Very versatile and fun to play with, just throw samples in it, hit randomize, see what comes out. The next one is called Scream Filter, and it is part of my Octo Patches pack on Patreon. It uses Delay 3 with the feedback distortion section, and you can send basically different wave-shaped signals and stuff through it and get really crazy sounding basses and just like spooky, crazy, weird sounds out of it. So to start, just saw wave. And when we have Scream Filter on, it might be loud here, so get ready. Just insane. Yeah, it's just distorting the signal inside the path of the delay. And this little button here is the keep pitch. So that completely changes up the sound. I'll let you hear that. The keep pitch button is more of like, I don't know if it's spectral or how they made it, but it just sounds more like feedbacky and resonant and stuff. So that's cool. Pause is flipping the waveform kind of perfectly positive, which means this is like the positive side and this is the negative side square over here. So I'm flipping that up so that both sides are above 50% on the wave shaper. And so what that does is, now if you can see in this shape, inside the feedback distortion, it means that like everything is being treated through the feedback distortion. It's like, you know, sending both the positive and negative sides of the waveform through the distortion and the feedback loop, not just like ignoring the bottom kind of. And then half is right here. It's another kind of pause wave shaper, and it also changes up the sound significantly. Here, it's like very different. And then mono and stereo is also important. So that changes whether this is like a mono signal here or if it goes through both left and right sides, which then you can start playing with the width here and get even more crazy. Just super dissonant now. The width now is changing the difference between the two sides' delay times. And then diff is, you know, diffusion. Just different ways to make it more and more dissonant, basically, on the bottom. And then this side is obviously the filter side, because it's blue, just like the word filter. So you've got a low pass and a bypass. You can just really like crank that, you know, the resonance here. Get crazy sounds out of screen filter. The next one is XFlanger. This one, a good example would be to put it on just like a random percussive thing. So let me turn everything off. You get the idea. It's just like a little crusty snare sounding thing. So I just pulled up frequency shifter, pulled that up a little bit, and then added a little bit of white noise on the top, just before we send it into what is called XFlanger. So this is a rerouting and like cool way to mess with the fruity flanger, like the old fruity flanger effect. You can get true negative inverted feedback in this, unlike Delay 3 and other plugins in FL. So it's cool to play with it and just like test its limits. With this, you can choose the amount again up here, and you can also bypass the sub with this section here, just if you want to leave your subwoofer untouched. And then you can now play with the phase and everything else, and it'll move all of them in sync with each other. So you get real crazy, like... Let me turn a LaFonk on. If you don't know what LaFonk is, you should get it because it's free and it's really good multi-plugin, OTT, etc. But yeah, just bringing the volume up. Okay, so just really cool, like cool sounding metallic tones you're getting out of it because of the inverted feedback. That's XFlanger. Moving on. The next one is called OCTO Chorus. So both XFlanger, OCTO Chorus, Scream Filter are all in the Halloween pack, Octo patches. This one, Octo Chorus. This is what the vocal sounds like. Classic splice vocal. But now if you want to get like real weird chorus effects, again, just playing around with like testing the limits of the plugins. So we've got a ton of hyper choruses in a row. And when you send them through each other, they get all like phasey and weird again, because it's just a chorus is essentially a delay. And so, yeah, it's just a cool way to beef up vocals and make them sound weird. So here is what this vocal sounds like without it. You have different spread types. That's the cool thing about this. All these knobs are pretty much linked inside these hyperchoruses, but the spread type controls how the wet to dry ratio affects this, because each one is sending a plane signal in, you know, both the dry and the wet into the next one. So if you want like 100% wet into the next one for every single one, you're going to get a very like exaggerated signal versus 50% or even, which is where every single one gets an even percentage of the signal, kind of. So like you see this one's like mixes almost all the way up, but then like by the end the mix is almost all the way down. So that's how that works. We also have sidechain, multi-band sidechain to get the signal out of the way of the main vocal. It's a little softer, you know? So that is Octo Chorus. The final one that was part of Octo Patches for the month of October. This one is really cool. This one's my favorite, honestly, of the pack. It's very versatile. What you can do with this is really like warp and do pulse width modulation. If you've seen my previous free patches, pulse width, you can get that one free on my Patreon. It just like does phase cancellation, but this takes it a step further. So as we can hear there, that's just a regular square wave with a little bit of pitch and volume going on. And then when you add octocomb, it sounds like this. Just full vocally cool bass sounds. What we're looking at here is an array of 16 delay threes. And then these bottom ones here are inverted. The phase is inverted. So what essentially we're doing is controlling how much of the dry wet of the dry signal and the wet delay is being pushed into the next lane. And then the offset is this offset here, which is changing your delay times as well, and then creating more phasing. This delay at the top here is just the main delay. So it's, you know, it's controlling this delay time across all 8 times. And then you can pick how many series, you know, how many times you want to do it. So it gets more and more phasey and pronounced the more times you do it. And then you can automate this knob even. You can almost hear the phasing happening as you get towards 0 also, which is real cool. Yeah, so that is octocomb. If you turn on invert here, that is the option to invert this dry signal. So at 0, we're completely phase canceling all of these so that all we can hear is this sub through. If I turn that down, it's nothing, pretty much. Now you've got a whole different type of bass. And then this is the smoothing for all of them. So you've got a lot smoother automations. And then the spread knob is similar to FLANGER, where you can spread each next delay, just additive almost, like each time it's adding a little bit more delay so that you have almost like a reverb sound. You can really hear it there now. But yeah, totally different sounds. Keep pitch again, delay 3, cool way to use like more of the like resonant spectrally kind of weird sounds happening out of delay 3. But yeah. All right, so you made it. This is the last one. This is the 8th patch that I dropped last month, and it's called SIDECHAINER. Very simple. It's just a ring mod and a volume duck plugin, and it just helps you get a cleaner mix down. So if you're not familiar with ring mod side chaining, it's been around for like a couple years now. You can see there's like videos from Virtual Riot and a bunch of other people that will do it in Ableton and other DAWs, but this is my solution for FL. What you want to do is you want to get M Ring Mod, which you can download on Melda's site for free. It's a part of their free bundle. The reason why you can't use the ring mod in FL is because it introduces phase shifting. So I'll put that up on the screen right now to show you the difference. So yeah, you want to pull up Melda's, not FL's ring mod, or download that. And I'll put it in the description as well. But essentially what you want to do is when you're like mixing a song, you know, let's say you've got like a kick and this is just a square wave playing, you know. As you can see, we're destroying our mix right now. Like we're way above 0 dB. And there's like phase cancellation happening. You can't even see the kick. So that's why you need to do side chaining. With ring mod sidechain, it will actually reduce the like per sample, the volume of the waveform, like as it's moving in here, versus like ducking, which is more of like, you know, less perfect, but like smoother. So blending the two options actually is my favorite way to do it with side chaining. So what you would do is you would just route, in my instance, you would route a kick and snare to another channel, and I put this bus over here of these two, and then I would right click and side chain to this track, and then from here you should see when you load up SIDECHAINER, let's say we don't have it yet, you know, you load it up and you should be able to click and map and see both regular audio input and kick snare. So you know you have your sidechain signal now. And what we're going to do is we're going to slowly pull up this ring mod section, and we're going to see this get cleaned up. So that's looking a little better now. As you can see, we still have a little bit of some clicks going on, right? There's like a little bit of still some peaks happening above 0 dB. So what I suggest, or my workflow at least, is to use this duck, pull it up a little bit, and that fixed it most of the way. There's barely any like phasing happening now, and yeah, it's pretty much good. But if we wanted to get even more surgical, you can see right there, there's a little bit more click happening. So a little bit more overage is happening. So what I like to do is intentionally delay the signal here slightly. Let's say by like 4 milliseconds. Let's turn it on with the click fix. And then just in the main bus, you would just click here, set in milliseconds, hit 4. And then now that's reset it back so that everything is aligned again. And now let's watch this click go away. Boom. It's gone. So now you have a perfectly clean signal, 0 overages happening, and you can really like play around with these to get a more exaggerated signal if you want. But you can really hear the difference between the duck, you know. If you didn't have the kick on, you can see a little bit better of what's happening. This is all just the signal of the ring mod. You can really see it like clamping down, and those little samples or like peaks coming out are in between where the 0 points are on the kick, where it's letting it come through. So it's like audible, or it's technically right, but audibly it's creating a little bit of distortion and stuff. So you can like blend it down with the duck. It's a little better right there. You don't even need to do it much, it looks like. So that fixes it. And now let's turn our kick back on and everything. Perfect. That's SIDECHAINER. I'm going to put that one in the description. You can get it on my Patreon along with all my other patches. I've got like 20 plus patches on my Patreon now. Different packs. We have the grain bundle and a bunch of other ones. There's a free bundle as well that I will put in the description. And I will see you guys next time. Happy producing. And let me know which one is your favorite in the comments so we can talk about it. Yeah. See you guys.